Good afternoon. We'll call to order the City of Murfreesboro Board of Zoning Appeals, a regular meeting for December 18th, 2023. First item on our agenda is a determination of a quorum with 4 of the 5 members present. We do have a quorum. Next is the public comments section. Has anyone reached out to staff to provide comments, Ed?
No, sir.
All right, so we will move past that. The next is the consideration of minutes from our regular meeting from October 25th, 2023. Those minutes were provided to the board members. Any changes necessary to those? All right, so here now those will stand as approved. Next, we'll move to new business. First item is a special use permit request. It's application Z23035 by Mr. Joey Rouse for TNT Fireworks. He's requesting a special use permit in order to operate a temporary outdoor vending establishment, in this case, seasonal fireworks sales, in a commercial highway zone, and this is for property located at 2946 South Church Street. Mr. Barbie, if you'd review this for us.
Good afternoon, Chair Young and members of the Murfreesboro Board of Zoning Appeals. In this application, Joey Rouse with TNT Fireworks is applying for a special use permit in order to operate a temporary outdoor vending establishment, temporary seasonal fireworks sales at 2946 South Church. You might also recognize this property as the Kroger Innsbrook Shopping Center. This might look very familiar to you. Mr. Rouse and TNT Fireworks have submitted this previously with a couple modifications this time. Due to the seasonal temperatures near the New Year's selling period of December 26th through January 2nd, temperatures are lower, so they are requesting permission to add a storage container. And with this application, as well as shifting the tent slightly to the south, we have had some clarification about the actual lease area that Kroger has control of at this property. Actually tenants and not property owners, but we were able to get some clarification and make sure that that tent was shifted onto the area that Kroger does have control and authority to sublet to TNT Fireworks. Staff has reviewed the application and the associated materials, found that everything is in good order. We would request that we have a few recommended conditions of approval that I'd like to read into the record. This special use permit is to allow TNT to operate a fireworks tent 30 feet by 50 feet size for the New Year's selling season from December 26th until 2023 until January 2nd, 2024. Hours are from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. Second condition is the applicant shall provide certification that the tent is flame resistant or treated to be flame resistant. Third condition is the applicant shall keep and maintain a fire extinguisher on site at all times. Fourth condition is the applicant shall keep the city's fireworks ordinance posted on site at all times. Number 5 is fireworks shall not be set off on the site. Number 6, the applicant shall apply for and pass an electrical safety inspection prior to opening for business. An electrical permit shall be purchased from the Building and Codes Department in order to obtain the inspection. And the final condition is that the fireworks tent shall meet all minimum building setback requirements for the commercial highway zoning district and temporary fireworks vending standards. In addition, a tent permit must be purchased from the Building and Codes Department. Do have some additional photographs of the area. Should be at the very end here. In this image, you can see the proposed tent location, storage location for their container. It's been shifted here. It was originally more over in this area. So they have shifted it slightly to the south. Otherwise, the application remains generally identical to the previous one. I'm available if you have any questions, and Mr. Joey Rouse with TNT Fireworks is also here available if you have anything for him.
Thank you, Mr. Barbie. Any questions for staff at this point?
And just to reiterate what Mr. Barbie said, and this is one that we've seen before, but the shift in the tent location and the addition of the container on site were enough of a difference to require it to come back before the board.
Have we not approved permits before with containers on them for these types of?
Yes, I believe so, and they are permitted subject to BZA approval. But since since the tent was in a different location in its previous approvals, and since the container was not included in the previous approvals, it's got to come back to y'all.
And even though it's essentially on the same property, it requires an application.
It does. The ordinance specifies that in order for a special use permit for a vendor to qualify for administrative reapproval without having to come back before the Board of Zoning Appeals, it basically has to be identical to the previous year's approvals. And so most all of the temporary fireworks tents that we process are done administratively because they're just repeat sites, entirely identical as the previous years. But in this instance, it's slightly different, so we have to bring it back to y'all.
And with TNT fireworks, we have several with this company, right?
Yes, they used to only do 2 in the city, but I think now they probably have the most number of tents each selling season, more than any other vendor. So they have quite a few around town, especially during July 4th. During New Year's, we generally only have about 2 or 3 tents because it's not as prolific of a selling season. But yeah, they do a lot of business here in Murfreesboro.
And y'all have never had any issues with them?
Not to my knowledge.
Not that I was able to find in our documents.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any further questions for staff? Mr. Rouse, anything you'd like to add to the application? If you wouldn't mind coming forward if you have any comments?
I don't have anything. I think it's a pleasure to get to work with you all again, and he always does a great job. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for me?
Any questions? No, thank you. Appreciate it. At this time, we'll conduct a public hearing. If there's anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application, if you'd come forward and give us your name and address and provide us any comments you may have. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open the floor for any further discussion or motion.
I would move that we approve the special use application subject to the conditions outlined in the staff's report. There were 7 of those that they needed to take care of as far as the operation between 8 and 10 and during that period specified and the other things that go along with that. It appears from the remarks and the report that there's no undue adverse effects on properties around them, that everything is arranged and adjacent to the property according to restrictions, and the use is adequately served by streets and other public facilities, and there shouldn't be any damage or destruction of other properties of historic importance, and that it appears to comply with the standards imposed under those provisions for the zoning ordinance.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, if you'd like to call the roll.
Ms. Boyd?
Aye.
Ms. King?
Aye.
Mr. Tibbs?
Aye.
Vice Chair Halliburton?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye. All right, so that application is passed. Appreciate the help on that one. Next item, there's no other business today, staff reports and any other business.
Yes, just a couple of reminders. One, I sent out the annual disclosure form that our finance department sends us every year. Gotten that back from a couple of y'all. The deadline isn't until January 31st to get that back to us, but the earlier the better. So, and just to make it easy, that can be emailed back to me, and I'll make sure that it gets to Ms. Brown in our finance department. Another thing is we are quickly approaching the December 31st deadline for, I see Ms. Boyd smiling over there, completing our continuing education requirements. So if you have not completed your continuing education requirements, and I'm not looking at anybody in particular, please remember the link that I sent out for the Planning Commissioner Board of Zoning Appeals training is 4 hours. So if you watch that, it will knock out all your training for this year. Just email me and I'll get it to Ms. Jaco in our office so we can update our log. The state hasn't audited us yet, but we want to be prepared and make sure we're in good standing if and when that ever happens. So, so please let me know when y'all complete that. Other than that, I hope everybody has a very happy holiday season.
Thanks, you too. All right, no other business, we will adjourn.
Move we adjourn.